Okay, so this is the final presentation in the Building Team Spirit and Building Great Teams module. And I just want to cover off the final 9 fundamentals that I believe are important in building great teams. And actually, the main point really is not just to surround yourself with followers, but to surround yourself with other leaders who can challenge you and also ultimately go on to become leaders themselves in their own right. But that's where the best teams really excel, where they've got a very, very strong leadership group at the top of the organisation. So it brings me on to point 1, gather the best team possible. I go back to the Jim Collins book, Good to Great, which basically says get the right people on the bus and drive it somewhere great. So you're only as good as the people in your team. In a sporting context, you need great players to be a great coach. There's no doubt about that. So be ruthless, relentless, rigorous, call it what you like, but make sure you get the best people in your team possible. Take the blame but never the credit. So as a leader, you've got to understand that it is a lonely position, and the great leaders often sit in the background, allowing the players on a sporting context to take the credit. When the reality is it's a combination of both, but unfortunately as a leader, that's the position you're in. So when things go wrong, it's your responsibility. When things go right, it's the players' work. Back to the point about getting the right people on the bus. Again, as much as you can try and amend or alter people's behaviour, the bottom line is some people just don't want to work in teams, or certainly wouldn't fit in your team. So don't feel that leadership is being nice all the time. Sometimes you've got to make tough decisions, but again, be relentless and rigorous and ruthless in getting the best people on your team and getting rid of the people that don't want to buy in. So this is the point I was making. Most leaders have followers around them. Few leaders surround themselves with other leaders. They lighten the burden. And certainly in a rugby context, you want great leaders within your management team, but also you want great leaders in your playing squad. And I've worked with some coaches who feel intimidated by that. But if you're confident in your ability as a leader, then do what you can to surround yourself and grow other leaders within your organisation, because they can share the workload. Leadership is building teams. Leaders have 2 characteristics. They are going somewhere and they can persuade people to go with them. So remember, we've talked about this before. It's about creating a vision for the future, inspiring people towards that vision, and then describing it to the people that follow you, so that they buy into your vision. But it's all about influence rather than control and direct. Great leaders have self-discipline to build teams. Success doesn't come easily. They maximize the use of their time. They use their minutes effectively. And again, this goes back to a previous module where we talked about using your time wisely. You can't waste time. You have to devote your time in the right areas and prioritize time, and but also make sure you leave time for yourself as well. But I think it's key to be a strong leader is that you are very, very good at managing your diary, managing your emotional energy, and managing the time that you spend with the people that you're leading. Leaders build great teams by discontenting with the status quo. Leading is by definition is to be upfront, to be breaking new ground. People want leaders who have a point of view. People want leaders who can take them in a different direction and say, no, we're not going to follow that path. We're actually going to create a new path of our own. That's exciting to work for someone who's in that leadership mode, and break new ground. Try things that haven't been done, and who knows where it may lead you. Great leaders seek out other great leaders. That is what takes organizations to the next level. Never, ever, ever, ever stop looking for other leaders to share ideas with. If you get a chance to go to a leadership conference, you get a chance to meet other leaders. If there's a leader you admire, get in contact. And I would leave no stone unturned in trying to seek out other leaders. And I've led different teams now for a while, but I will never ever stop learning, and I'm motivated to learn from others just as much as learn from my own strengths and weaknesses. And finally, leadership is complicated with many facets: respect, experience, emotional strength, people skills, discipline, vision, momentum, timing. The great leaders build teams by being an expert in all these areas. So the bottom line is, people say, is it a group of talented individuals that form great teams? Well, no, it's not. It's a group of people with a shared common purpose that has been crafted and put together and inspired by someone with great leadership. So I don't buy the fact personally that it can be done without good leadership. And I think if you have got good leadership at the top of organisations, you can build great teams. So listen, I hope you found that module on building teams successful. Interesting, and you can go and be successful in your job in building great teams. I'm sure you might have questions, so we'll have a further webinar on this. And if there are any questions, please jot them down and send them through, and I'll attempt to address them, or certainly focus on the subject areas that are of real interest to people.